They couldn't do it again. But for 70 minutes in Philadelphia, against the best attacking squad left in this tournament, Paraguay gave France absolutely nothing. 0 shots on target, 0 goals conceded. 70 minutes of exactly the football they promised.
And then a penalty happened.
One VAR review, one spot kick, one moment of calm from Mbappe, and a story that had been building for 11 days came to its end. France 1, Paraguay 0. Stay with me, because the scoreline tells you almost nothing about what actually happened in Philadelphia last night. This was not a comfortable French victory. This was not the Sweden result. France had 85% possession in the opening stages and couldn't find a way through a defensive shape that simply refused to bend. 15 shots across the full match, 1 on target, 1 goal. An expected goals total of 1.36, which means France's chances weren't even creating the number of goals their quality should guarantee, and Paraguay's goalkeeper had a significant role in that calculation.
Okay, but still, France won 1-0 through quarterfinal. The result is the result.
The result is the result. And France deserve full credit for winning a hostile, exhausting match in genuinely dangerous heat on the 4th of July in Philadelphia. The temperature on the pitch surface reportedly exceeded 40 degrees Celsius by kickoff, the kind of conditions that punish teams who need to cover ground quickly and reward the side that can win without the ball. France's squad is deep enough to rotate, to bring fresh legs at the right moments, to manage the physical cost of a match like this without ever fully running out of options. Paraguay's squad is not. That asymmetry matters across 90 minutes in that kind of heat, and it mattered last night. But the story of this specific match is not about France winning. It's about what Paraguay did for 69 minutes before the penalty changed everything. Did you know Paraguay had just 1 shot on target across the entire 90 minutes? 1, against a team that had scored 13 goals in their previous 4 matches, against a team that had never failed to score in a single World Cup game in this tournament. Paraguay held them scoreless through regulation with a defensive structure so disciplined that France went to halftime with all that possession and exactly nothing to show for it. That is not a coincidence. That's the same plan that worked against Germany. That's the same plan that forced a team ranked 10th in the world to a penalty shootout and then won it in the most dramatic possible fashion. Paraguay have now gone to halftime goalless in every single match of this World Cup. Every single one. Their entire identity from the first whistle of every game is to survive the opening period, deny the opponent space in behind, and wait for the single moment that changes the match entirely. Against Germany, that moment came in the penalty shootout. Against France, it almost came and then didn't in the most painful possible way. The moment that changed this match was not a Paraguay moment. It was a Desiree Doué moment, and a VAR review, and a penalty from the best penalty taker in this tournament. Paraguay could not have planned for all 3 of those things happening in the same sequence.
I have to ask about the referee here. Tantashev had a terrible match. Cáceres should have been sent off at least twice. Paraguay were getting away with some genuinely dangerous challenges.
The referee performance deserves to be addressed directly. Tantashev failed to manage the game's physicality, and Paraguay's defenders were operating in a way that crossed the line repeatedly without consequence. Cáceres, in particular, made a series of late, dangerous challenges that went unpunished through the full match. The irony is that the one call that actually changed the game, the penalty for Gomez's foul on Doué, was the one call that required VAR intervention to be given at all. The referee missed the physical stuff in real time, then needed a review to see the thing that actually mattered. Subscribe right now if you want to follow this tournament story all the way through. France against Morocco is coming in Boston on Thursday, and this channel is going to cover every match that matters. Here's the part of this match that deserves more attention than it's getting. Orlando Gill. Mbappe came within 2 saves of making this scoreline something very different late in stoppage time, and the sequence deserves to be described in full because it captures the entire spirit of what Paraguay brought to this tournament. Olise played Doué through on the right. Doué found Mbappe arriving from the left side. Mbappe struck it left-footed from the edge of the box, a clean, powerful effort that was already past the dive before Gill reacted. Gill saved it. The ball fell back to Mbappe at the 6-yard box with the goal empty. He struck again. Immediately, Gill saved that too, with his legs, from point-blank range. change in the 90th plus minute of a 1-0 match against the best player in this tournament.
That almost made me want Paraguay to equalize, and I was already completely accepting the French win. It's the kind of moment that resets everything you thought you'd resolved about a result.
That sequence is exactly why Orlando Gill should be in the conversation for the best individual goalkeeper performance of this entire World Cup. He conceded 1 goal in 2 knockout matches. That goal required a VAR-assisted penalty to produce. Everything France tried to build organically, Gill either stopped or forced wide or reached when it had already been celebrated. We've all felt this, watching a team play their absolute maximum, leaving everything on the pitch in conditions that were physically punishing from the first minute, and still coming up against the single element they couldn't control. There's a difference between losing because you weren't good enough and losing because the margins at the critical moment didn't fall your way. Paraguay were good enough to be playing in the 89th minute of a 0-0 World Cup round of 16 match against the reigning World Cup finalists in 40-degree heat, having conceded just 1 goal across the entire match, and that through a penalty that needed VAR to be awarded. Fairy tale ended by the margin of 1 VAR call, or a side that genuinely had nothing left to give and met their natural limit? Pick one in the comments, because both feel simultaneously true, and I don't think either answer is wrong. The tactical story is worth finishing properly. Paraguay's XG across the entire match was 0.15. That means their chances across 90 minutes were worth roughly 1 goal for every 7 matches played. That's not Paraguay trying to win, that's Paraguay executing the most extreme defensive game plan seen at this entire World Cup, reducing their own attacking threat to almost nothing in exchange for denying France every clear chance they tried to build. Their entire final third entry count from the left channel was 5, from the right channel was 7. France had 35 entries from the left channel alone. Paraguay weren't trying to attack France, Paraguay were trying to suffocate them for long enough that a single moment of quality in transition might change everything. For 69 minutes, that was working.
Which makes me wonder if Almiron had been fit, if Paraguay had even one more creative option in the final third, would that have been enough to nick a goal on the counter?
Almiron's absence is the unanswerable question of this entire match, and it will stay unanswerable. With Almiron, Paraguay have a player who can run in behind at full pace, who can hold the ball under pressure in transition, who can buy the time a counterattacking team needs to get supporting numbers forward. Without him, every time Paraguay won the ball deep, there was no natural outlet to relieve the pressure immediately, no runner to find in behind France's high defensive line, no moment to breathe before France won it back and restarted the possession cycle. The final third became a dead end. And Ciso started and did well in glimpses, but the two of them together would have been a genuinely different animal in the spaces that France's transition left available. Paraguay go home having beaten Germany on penalties in one of the greatest upsets in World Cup knockout history, having pushed Argentina into extra time and been 8 minutes from the biggest upset in the tournament's entire history, having held France goalless for 69 minutes of a round of 16 match in conditions that broke other teams far earlier in the game. They exit at the round of 16, exactly where the bracket said they would, but the football they played across those 3 knockout matches was nothing like what the bracket predicted. Commit to one honest answer in the comments. Did Paraguay exceed your expectations for this tournament? Yes or no? Because the team that eliminated Germany, pushed Argentina into extra time, and held France until the 71st minute is not the team anyone predicted when these brackets were drawn. The team everyone predicted went out in the group stage, finished 3rd in their section, and was a footnote. This team is not a footnote.
Yes, completely. I predicted this was over in 60 minutes when I saw the draw. Maybe 70 if Paraguay had a good day. Instead, I watched Orlando Gill make 2 consecutive saves from Mbappe in stoppage time of a 1-0 match, and forget for a full minute that France had already won, and the result was settled.
That's the whole point. Paraguay couldn't do it again, but they made France earn every centimeter of this result in the worst possible conditions for 90 full minutes, with one goalkeeper who refused to accept the scoreline that everyone else had already accepted before the teams even walked out of the tunnel. That goalkeeper is 40 years old. He conceded 1 goal in 2 knockout matches against 2 two of the best attacking teams in this tournament. He made 7 saves in the Germany match and 2 consecutive saves from point-blank range in the last seconds of the France match. He became one of the most recognizable faces of an entire World Cup from a starting position of virtual anonymity outside his own country. And after this tournament, he will be remembered far longer than the result will be. And speaking of teams that made giants work for everything, the full story of how Paraguay got from the penalty shootout that ended Germany's World Cup to the last 69 minutes they just played is on your screen right now. Go tap it before you do anything else.